Good afternoon. We are again with you as it was 3 years ago, 2009. My name is Vasekin Vasily Vasilyevich. I'm the moderator of the summit. We are staying in the lounge of the Commerce Chamber in Moscow. If you would like to hear us in Russian, choose the Russian chat and the Russian site. And if you want to choose English, you can choose the English chat. So, dear friends from China, you can use both either Russian or English chats. I would like to introduce the participants of our conference. So the chairperson of the trade chambers, Mr. Kotlяров, he is present here. Here also there are some other participants. Pelivin, the director of the precious metals of the Russian producers, Kotlyar Yuri Alexeyevich, the assistant of the deputy Neural Nickel, Mr. Fetiev, the deputy of the general director of the Central Research Center in Kurchatovsky Institute, Korunov Vitaly Anatolyevich, the director of the company Student. On my right, there is Pogorilov Vadim Vyacheslavovich. He is the representative of Unicorn Marketing Services in Russia. Mikhail Yurievich Peskunov, the head of the Johnson Matthey UK representation here in Moscow. Alexander Grigorьевich Rashov, the representative of Rao Norilsk Nickel. Natalia Sergeyevna is representative of the Union of the Composite Manufacturers of the Russian Federation, and the Commerce Chambers is the representative of the monitoring chief, Zameshev. He will make a short presentation, but so he was declared on our agenda. What is your name? What is your name in China? Lu Chanchun or Anya in Russian, the representative of the company says of the Chinese Republic. I forgot to represent you, the president of the fund of the International Fund, Dmitry Ritvin. He came from Germany. These are all the representatives of our conference, and there were some other listeners or participants who are expected to join us. If you want to participate here, you have to in contact with our technical moderator, and if you want to listen to our presentations, so there is a chat page, and you can get to this chat of our website, and you can write also the messages, and we'll read these messages. Our agenda is for 2 hours. There is 2 o'clock in Moscow. At 4 o'clock, we will complete our meeting. I think that everything is clear. If there are some technical problems, you can get into contact with our technical moderator. We will start the program of our center. The first idea which comes to my mind, I would like to welcome everyone, the participants of this conference. We have our summit meetings every 2 years. The first took place in 2007. So when we celebrated the anniversary of Mr. Ritvin's, and after that 2 years, every 2 years, we convened in this meeting of so all these meetings aim at the precious metals, and then we try to plan our activities on future. So that is the 4th summit of the Platinum Global in Moscow, and the program which was sent to you. So it covers the technical issues, scientific research issues of the precious metal market here in the Russian Federation and in the global market also. I would like to introduce Shendarenko Vladislav Vasilievich. He is the Vice President of the Academy. He will read the welcoming words from the President of the Academy. You're welcome. Dear participants of the summit, the Presidium of the Informatization Academy consisting in the composition of the United Nations it has been welcoming. So the summit of Platinum Gold, the International Force Summit. So this summit is designed to discuss the critical issues. All of them depend on the the contribution of the participants in the technological issues. So the simultaneous involvement of the representatives of the United States, Asia, Australia, so will provide the high quality presentations. We wish you great achievements for the benefits of all the nations in the world in the difficult times of the crisis. The representative Hayton in the United Nations representative. I would like to take advantage of this opportunity on the behalf of the Academy to congratulate the Yuri Alexeyevich Kotler with his 75th anniversary, and I would like to read this congratulation letter from the Academy, because we will award him as the founder of the new scientific school and the international moderator of the STRAT. He is awarded with a High International Order of Merit for services in information society development. If it is possible, I will present this International Order of Merit right now. Yuri Alexeyevich, we will do this way. That is the International Order of Merit. That is the award certificate here, and congratulation letter also. I won't read it. So on this Order of Merit, they painted the sculpture of the globe, how to preserve the globe, and the Minister of International Affairs, Lavrov, he participated in the development of this Order of Merit. And you are, as the innovator and pioneer in the information society development, so you can get these awards. Thank you very much. I will take the floor again. I would like to tell you that the president of the International Fund, named after Evgeny Isovich Ritvin, and who will make a presentation, I would like to show you the video slides. So, and the way they are involved in the activities, that is platinum metal in nano energies in the summit, which comes every second year in Moscow. The fund of Ritwin was founded 11 years ago. The headquarters in Berlin, and has two representatives in China, in Beijing, which is headed by Mr. Magadan, professor, and Moscow representation is headed by Mr. Popov. And these two offices coordinate the activities regarding the events organization, international forums dedicated to the research, publication of the technologies and scientific research in the area of the precious metals in all the areas and applications. So this fund established the silver medal and diploma, which awards so the pioneers, the scientists, researchers who put their efforts into the implementation of the projects in PMG. And the fund awards these kind of the medals, all the employees who are involved into PMG technologies. And since 2006, the fund has been arranging all these events. The next conference will take next time in Tel Aviv in 2014. So there are about 150 different research centers who are involved in the R&C projects in PMG. Among them, there are German, Chinese, French, and Russian researchers. And today, so on the decision of the Ritwin Fund, we decided to award one of the representatives of our experts, and I will give the floor to Dmitry Rytkin. Good afternoon. As usual, I have a very good mission to award the diploma and the silver medal, Mr. Ritwin, Professor Mr. Fatiev, the chemistry doctor, the deputy director of Kurchatov Institute, for his personal contribution into the development of technologies. Thank you very much for excellent activities, for continuing our traditions of research. Now we will proceed to the agenda of our conference, the press conference. The word is given to the chairperson of so the precious metals. Dear colleagues, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tikhonov Igor Vladimirovich. I welcoming so these people who have gathered here. So that is very important topic for us. It is necessary to remark that our industry is one of the industries which has preserved everything. So in its capacity, starting from the raw materials up to the scientific intensive capabilities and its human resources also. We are proud of that, and we would like to find all the necessary opportunities to preserve all these assets. Today, the commerce chambers is involved into our activities. We are inviting our Russian and foreign colleagues for exchange of the experience. So everything which deals with the development of business, and we have to strengthen the scope of the Russian part of business on our international markets. Thank you very much for your attention. All the best to you. Thank you. So there is also the deputy of the Precious Metals Committee, Mr. Pelivan, so you can also ask him questions if you want. And he needs to leave the studio for a while. There will be Yuri Alexeyevich Kotlyar, the deputy of the General Director of Rosneft, so the new trends and main trends of the PGM market. Thank you very much for all the congratulations which I received. You know that every year, so the jubilees, all these anniversaries are not quite positive for the health. Actually, we continue working and everything is quite okay. I would like to share my ideas regarding the trends on business developments in PGM market. First of all, platinum metals. And in this quite distinguishing period, quite naturally, the funds so we can say that it's very difficult to solve the problems of the crisis. We haven't overcome this crisis yet, and nobody can predict what might happen. So the crisis can arrive quite suddenly, but in these conditions, we have to predict quite reasonably. So the business of platinum metals, I would not focus on numbers. Mikhail Yurievich, so who can evaluate everything, so the demands and the needs. I would like to characterize the trends on PGM markets. So under the decline of all, so the markets, the PMG consumption keeps increasing, but not less than 2% per annum due to demand growth in the car industry. But all people say that the car industry has been experiencing difficulties. So the inflow of investments in this year and next year will continue this way. But right now it is necessary to evaluate so the demands and to show so this kind of demands. First of all, it will be the production demands. It used to be just two positions of producers, proper production and the secondary products manufacturing, and so the outflow of the state reserves. Today there are two categories. The demands of the reserves from Russia could make up about 50 million palladium. It has stopped already. So the mineral raw base has been worse. There aren't any new facilities. We haven't constructed any new facilities. And most of them, which used to be, they have been so they have been frozen. That is Canadian news. There are some difficult problems so with their production costs, and the profit of this business is declining. The undervaluation of PGM group doesn't cover the operational cost. All this capex, over 70% of global production doesn't generate return on investments. There is very difficult situation in the South Africa because it's the biggest producer of platinum and palladium. As we predicted a few years ago, we can see the light in the end of the tunnel. The South Africa is just going into this tunnel, and when it will come out of this tunnel, it's not quite clear. Very difficult situations with the trade unions, strikes of the employees, the unstable power supply, water shortages of human resources, make up of negative impacts of the production of the PGM markets. In the northern hemisphere, palladium is produced as is a byproduct, and sizable production growth is unlikely. So it deals with the main categories of the precious metals, and of course it will affect the whole market of PGM. The depletion of the state stockpiles eliminated the artificial surplus in the palladium market. Today, the recycled PGM satisfy over 20% of demand, and its production keeps increasing, will not offset market deficits. We have to note here that these PGM materials from the secondary raw materials won't grow because the consumers are busy with the costs on the platinum metals for productional purposes. You understand that when we move to Euro 5 and 6 standards, will decrease the costs on the costs, and later on there will be the micro nibers which will be used by the catalyzers, but out of this micro amounts, will it be efficient to get the secondary recycled PGMs? Because when you recycle the cars, so the costs will be much more expensive than you can get these PGM materials. As a whole, assessing the situation, the market of palladium is expected to be in the state of substantial structural deficit. It means that palladium will lack. Will it influence on the price? I don't think about that. But the current price can be the fixed price because the costs for the producers quite cheaper than the sales price. But the market of platinum will be more balanced because platinum has jewelry functions, other functions which will enable us to balance if the return on investment and incomes of people increase, they would invest this income into the jewelry. I would like to talk about the byproduct market. When we have been experiencing problems, nickel market is hardly balanced because today there is a big trend to get nickel byproducts and electrolytes. Nickel is disappearing because for our technologies, so we delete the concentration of nickel, then we purify this nickel in the electrolysis process, then we get pure nickel, then we give them to metallurgy producers, and they get the alloys. So the nickel demand for long-term periods in electrolytes will dramatically decrease. If it concerns the production of metal platinum, so it's quite natural that the balance of nickel will lead to the decrease of metal platinum group. So in what way will it happen? Of course, we have to discuss that, and we will have to involve a great number of experts. But globally, people do not think about that because the priority is to become crisis. Before setting off somewhere to swim, you have to survive somehow. Thank you for your attention, and I will answer any questions if you ask them. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Yuri Alexeyevich. Then we will move to Mr. Moskovo Piskulov, the market of platinum in 2013 and its prospects for 2014. Thank you, Mr. Vasilievich. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. colleagues on Platinum workshop. First of all, I would like to say thank you for this organization of this forum. So the Vasil Vasilic and the Commerce Chamber, and we have this kind of the forum where we can exchange our opinions and thoughts and ideas regarding the development of markets. My presentation is based on the analysis of the Platinum 2013 conference, which took place in November. So our company held this event, Johnson Matthey from the United Kingdom. I would like to focus on the Platinum market is the most capable regarding the costs, and I will tell about those factors which will influence in 2014 based on the benchmark analysis, because there are some data and when we can make some kind of extra analysis. Before starting my presentation, as we usually do, so that I will make a sort of a warning, so that all this data are not sorts of recommendations, guidelines regarding the financial investment solutions. That is so the business of anyone who is involved into the markets. What are so the results of the Platinum market in 2013? In 2014, we will so there will be the deficit growth about 18 tons to compare with the 2012. There is a significant decrease of the demands for the after-colletizers. So there wasn't a growth in South Africa. There was a reduction of the demands for automobile catalyzers, which has been offset in the industry. And so the growth of Platinum grew for the other industries. So some jewelry industries decreased. So the sales, and there was the investment growth, which was triggered by the investment growth and success in South Africa as well. If we look at the proposals of Platinum, we can see the main supplier is South Africa, which takes up about 2/3 of the market. Last year, it insignificantly increased by 1%, less than 1 ton. The main growth was triggered by Zimbabwe, and so the demand grew by 1.5%. So the parameters in South Africa have been significantly less to compare with the previous years, and even by so the previous numbers when they produced so 127.2 million tons. So this presentation slide, the experts of the company try to analyze so these weaknesses. Let us draw attention to this point, that shutdown of the production because of the safety rules. It didn't influence on the production in 2012. In 2012, they had very high levels of strikes. They lost about 16% of the production in different mines. In 2013, there were less strikes, and this extra factor gave to the markets about extra 9 tons of platinum. If we look at the shutdown of the production in 2013 in South Africa, they closed up 3 mines and Item Platinum, so a few facilities, and it reduced the production by 4 tons, but in some facilities they increased so these capacity by 3 tons, but we could expect the increase by 10 tons. But there is a factor, and we also looked at this factor, such as productivity. The percentage capacity of the metal in the ores, that factor, such as is non-profitable mining facilities and the lack of their investments to extend, diversify their facilities, and all these factors didn't enable the South African industry to increase their rate of production as far as it concerns the demand. So the main demands comes to the automobile catalysts. The main role is played by Europe. It covers about 15% of the global diesel cars production, and it was a depressive market because it fell by 4%. Also, there was a quite difficult situation in Indian diesel market, the second one globally, and they reduced their production by 2%. Jewelry industry is the second consuming group, and so we can observe here a slight decrease of consumption in 2012 in China. There was a sort of a decrease, but it was offset by the demand in India, in Europe, and in Northern America. That's why the reduction made up about 1.4% in general. The industrial consumption so covered much more platinum than it used to be, so the growth was about 12.2%, and China takes up the most, about 5 ton. That was an extra consumption by China, and so some Asian countries also appear to be big consumers of platinum. So you can see by a 68% difference with the previous years. So as concerns the new index, ETF, APSA, firstly in South Africa, so there were conditions to open their new investment tool, and all these accumulated costs enabled them on the 25th of November to attract about 26 tons of platinum to this fund. If we look at this balance between the demand and the supply, in 2012 there is a historic maximum, 249 tons, and so the primary supply doesn't grow. The supply of the secondary metal has grown insignificantly. The result is the deficit and increased up to the 19%. As far as concerns the prediction for platinum next year, we understood that the deficit of platinum on the market will be preserved. So we could hardly rely on the increase of the primary supplies. The growth of the industrial growth in all other sectors might be done in China, and in other Asian countries there will be bigger demand. So there will be demand for the diesel auto catalysts on the global market. So let me focus on some factors. So The first factor which we would like to look at intensively is the previous speaker already mentioned that the cost of the production in South Africa miners are much more expensive, and so they do not enable to reproduce the production next year by the approved company Anglo-American. Joskenburg will close facilities, and it will trigger so the decrease of 8 ton. But if there aren't any strikes, we can hardly expect the extra production on these mines in South Africa. On this slide, we showed you the model of the current prices for platinum to cover the operational costs, capex in mines in South Africa. So we had an analysis between 1 to 2 ratio between dollar, and we also know that so they also produce non-ferrous metals. You can see that all mines can cover all the current capexes right now by this price, which is indicated here on this graph. However, if we look at the price which is necessary to the extended production, not only for the current period, but also for the capital investment, and it will be closer to 1,800 tons, and it's not enough for the extended mines. So as a result, this current price is about 1,400 is a result not only of the shutdown of these non-profitable mines, but on the development of the current facilities and the low flow of investments. The next factor which would influence on the platinum market in 2014 and later on, that is the new European legislation on exhaustions. So this kind of the legislation will increase the platinum market for the truck and car market. On this slide, we introduced new regulations for new Euro standards for cars, which become valid since September 2014. New standards do not change the previous regulations. The carbon emissions will be decreased, and the nitrogen emissions also will be reduced, and car manufacturers have to decide what kind of the regime should be used to comply with the stringent standards. These experts analyzed all the data, and it appeared that so the nitrogen can be hardly controlled, monitored, as we can see on the top part. So the monoxide of carbon, and so the catalyst can catch and burn so these emissions, and the platinum can be used in these devices. In Euro 6, we can expect that in European diesel engines, so we would replace into the catcher of oxidation. So the same processes will take place as it used to be. So the oxide of nitrogen will be much more in the catcher, and these systems will get so the load of the platinum for the production of each car. The catalyzers with the SKO, so the code. Under the work of this catalyst, so there will be the gas form of the oxidation of nitrogen, and the solid particles will require the amount of the platinum to work as co-catalyzers much better. To adopt any kind of these regulations, we will get a more amount of platinum. Since January 2014, there will be implemented new regulations, Euro 6, for trucks, for diesel trucks, which are used in Europe. In this case, the situation will be contrary from what we experience in car regulations. For most trucks which comply with the regulation Euro 5 SKO with small platinum, purifiers have been established. Next year for the purification system, we will add also filter, a catalyzer of purification. So these trucks will require the increase of platinum by 60%. There is another factor which we have to take into consideration for the development of platinum. That is the Chinese economy development. We expect the extra growth of demand in China because of the income growth in Chinese population and the welfare of the regional areas in China, and they can focus on their domestic market, but not only on their international markets. So that is the glass for the computers and TV screens, resins, and so all kinds of the composite materials. So the good indicator is Shanghai Golden Stock Exchange. The volume of the sales has increased the level of sales in 2012. So the jewelry industry and all the interests, they made this purchases. The balance between jewelry and other industries is 50 by 50%. From the point of view of the supply, we have to admit that we can expect the growth of the platinum from their worn out auto catalyzers. So they will have the quite great amount of the platinum for recycling, so we can get more and more cars which were produced by the regulations of Euro 3. All diesel cars should be equipped with the diesel catalyzer, so the global efficiency is increasing, which makes up about 7%, 70%, but it is much easier than in the United States, where they have the coverage of 90% with the platinum content. So we have designed the curve relying on data since 2005. So the recycling process of cars has been growing, but the supply for so the primary metal has been decreasing. The ratio between the primary and secondary supplies is about 3:5. It has been decreased by 1/3. What will all these factors mean for the price of platinum? From the point of view of the fundamental factors, there will be increasing trend. There is another influential factor, the influence of gold price on platinum and vice versa. On this curve, we show you that there is a big correlation between the platinum and gold prices. This curve has been made by the end of this year in December. So the prices on gold have fallen and the platinum prices fell. So the ratio between prices, which you can see in red line, so they have been actually increasing in favor of platinum. So the prices for platinum are much better, but they are strictly interrelated, and platinum so is under the influence on their so the price of gold, and it is influenced by the policy of the United States of America. The platinum is correlated with the price on gold, so we can hardly expect the growth of prices on platinum at least for 6 months period of time or somewhere in this time. Thank you very much for your attention. As I've already said, all this information on platinum you can find on the site of the company Johnson Matthey, and also you can you can also inquire for all these kind of the evaluations. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mikhail Yurievich. I think that there will be some kinds of the questions, and if there are some questions, we will ask you. So the next presentation in our program is the model of the process of perfect steps. Mr. Bagorelov, he will represent this presentation. Umicore Marketing Services, Moscow Presentation Office. I'm greeting all participants of Platinum Global. Thank you very much for the opportunity to hear my colleagues and participate in this forum. Not quite too long ago, I managed to tell you briefly about the business of our company in the secondary processing market. And right now we deal with the primary manufacturing, and our department deals with the platinum engineering. First of all, in a nutshell, I will tell you about our company. So the company deals with so the materials. So the slogan is materials is the essence of our life. How do we understand this concept in practical sense? That is technological company. It so presents technologies, guidelines. The company was registered in New York Stock Exchange. It has about 3 billion. The turnover is about a few billion in euros. The basic business trends are automotive catalysts for the accumulative batteries, and these are our technologies: solar energy, everything which is interrelated with Germany, so the space navigation energies, and that is recycling precious markets also. From the global point of view, Umicore can consider its mission is the opportunity to work in painful areas, the 4 areas. That is the lack of resources, the strict requirements to environment, and also so it deals with the resources, the necessity of alternative recyclable energy, and the usage of the automobile resources. So about 14,000 people are involved in production in 74 different national sites, and Asia comes to the first places. First of all, China, and on the other continents we are available. So the company is the company which deals with the materials. We do not produce the final products. That is the products which deal with the clean energy and ecology, as I already said, with the secondary processing. And another great line is the technical materials. We use the precious materials, including platinum. And there are subdivisions which deal with platinum engineering materials, and it is not far from Frankfurt in Germany. Platinum engineer materials facility. There are two business lines here. These are the specific types of glass for optical fibers and chemical production. And that is the restoration of the nitrogen fertilizers. And so here in this area, the company has been dominating on the market. So we pay attention to the process of close cooperation with the final consumer. In this segment, we supply not only materials, but everything which deals with these materials. So the patent, the technological support, and so on. So the platinum engineering so deals with the facilities in Germany, and in other parts of Europe also. In the whole process, we use so-called the model of the perfect excellent process, when the company takes up not only the sale of these products, but the monitor this, so the destiny of all these kind of the materials, and we define the needs of the final consumer. The company gets quite deeply into the distinguishing parts of the process, for example, for the glass process, and we managed to do all the necessary processing, the temperature issues, modeling, because most customers didn't have their own research centers and laboratory. That's why so the company expanded in this area to wide scope of the activities. It concerns also the production of glass and the chemical part of ammiac production. As I already said, there is a polyester process, multiple process, when we monitor so this process from the very beginning to the end, especially so the gauzer made from platinum, because this gauzer is a sort of a product for the independent customer, which is tailor-made. It can't be restored probably in the future. It can be only unique for this kind of the consumer. And we also monitor the whole process with the feedback from the customer. The main products in this segment, so that is the PC sensor panels, the cameras, lamps, the home crystal, and all kinds of the technical glasses for the workable surfaces of the utensils, the composite materials for temperature, and in the chemical area, the fertilizers, the materials for different fertilizers. First of all, the gauzers, so the technical nitrates. These are the polyamides, amines, and so on. There are by-products, acryl glass, or we also have with the noise decrease technologies. We work for the animal fooders also, and represent different products here. As far as concerns of glass production, we have so this category products which have the restoration cameras of the cells, valves from the fertilizers, nitrogen fertilizers. We deal with our own projects of all kinds of the gozers with multiple layers, with great capacities, and tailor make for our customers. We always get a feedback from our consumers, and we try to adapt to this feedback, because that is the competitive advantage for us, because because there is enormous number of competitors, and this kind of the approach could provide us this competitiveness, and we concentrate on long-term cooperation. Sometimes we understand that not all the things go quite well, and we are ready to improve, and we focus on the long-term work, and we usually have a sort of a sparkle of so the process, some kind of the technical designer peculiarities, and there is a sort of expectation of lively discussions, and it contributes to our production. As far as concerns Russia, we have been cooperating super metal for 5 years, and we have Moscow region on the basis of super metal. There is a facility where we sent so our equipment for the gorges, and we think that the partnership helped us. So because super metal having experience of dozens of years, and we have 100 years of so the experience in our industry, and so we are ready to work with you all the time. You can rely on us. Thank you. Thank you very much. If there are some kinds of the questions, you can ask these questions, or we can delay these questions for the chat. I would like to remind all our listeners, if you can see us, you can hear us, you will be able to get all these presentations data, but please leave all so the addresses, emails, and on the site, and you will get from the steering committee all the necessary data. We will move to our program. The next presentation will be made by the chief of the finance monitoring department and control in the precious metals Pomyślaev. So that is the Commerce Chamber of the Russian Federation. Thank you, dear colleagues. In a nutshell, analyzing the import and export of platinum products in Russia Federation, we can claim that there won't be a significant tariff of decrease in this area. If we take platinum, for example, the experts from Russia for 2012, we can follow here different groups of products and jewelry. So the expert made up about 70 types of products. We could not speak about the serious transplantation here, and chemical group and the industrial group of products were brought about 14 tons. As far as concerns the imports of 2012, so what was brought, PCVs, so all recycling devices, and the technical products. If we recalculate into the chemical metals, so the total transportation of platinum made up about 42 tons. If we recalculated in over 25 tons of chemically purified metals. As far as concerns the imports, the jewelry, 35 kilograms of technical group technical products made up about something more than 1 ton. So this kind of the market covers watches. So some products from Switzerland in 2012. So we could say 1 ton, 120, or frequency of 142. So in the 5 top companies which implement so these Transmogolskaya RMK and Amur production facilities, and top Expergolilidov, Supermetam, the non-ferrous metals, non-spare. So the dynamics of 2013 hasn't been reviewed yet, because we haven't completed this year, but December won't make any surprises for us. But the total dynamics of import and export actually preserved all the trends of the previous year. If we can speak in terms of the export of the products, the jewelry with platinum, locks, the parts of locks and jewelry, 27 kilograms totally. The technical products made up about 990 kilograms, and we also exported 40 gram of jewelry products, and technical products of the industrial category, we 26 tons. If we relocate into chemically pure amount for 2013 November, it made up about 20 tons, and the general imports for December made up about 792 kilograms. As far as it concerns the balance between the production and the manufacturing, of course, if we compare platinum with the other noble metals, it's not the topic of our agenda. But if we compare with gold, for example, the balance doesn't look in favor of platinum, because by the approximate evaluation, it makes up about 1/4 of all the produced amount of the gold in chemically purified form can be so considered for the jewelry market, and all these numbers which I've used for platinum and how many jewelry products go through. So the jewelry chambers, so we can see so that the comparisons are not very high. In 2012, about 50,000 ton came through the chambers, 8 million pieces. If we compare with the platinum products in 2012, the chamber registered about 100 kilogram. You can see a great discrepancy between gold and platinum. Palladium, it's the same, 60 and something kilograms for palladium. How can we explain these differences? That is the lack of luck of jewelry industry. These are some chemical issues and alloys, and communicating with the colleagues, jewelers, we can hear that they do not like to work with these metals because of the chemical peculiarities. And platinum has become more expensive than gold. And another factor probably is we haven't rolled out and promoted so these metals among our consumers in the market. It is much more comfortable to work with gold because you can achieve better ranges of the colors, and the gold is the gold. But platinum so can have some marketing advantages, but it loses so these marketing advantages by these capacities of production, export and import balances. When we register so this volume of the products, we realize so the discrepancy. So these precious metals are undervalued, and we should put into efforts, especially on the jewelry segment in the Russian market. So we do not take the Chinese market right now. So we are talking about the Russian market in the moment. And of course, so we have to increase the promotion of platinum products. That's all. If there are some questions, I am ready to answer them. Thank you very much for your presentation. And I would like to say that probably there might be some questions, because I could see there were some people who visited. So the chat, we can see so your messages. Schuligan said that there is very interesting information presented by the Commerce Chamber. And if there are some questions, we will aggregate them and submit these questions to our keynote speakers while we are preparing so the presentation. So there will be a chat pause by our agenda, but I think that we will miss it. And if you are not against, we will move to the presentation, which will be made by Donetsky National Technical University in Ukraine, Viktor Alexeyevich Galtsov. So he will make this kind of the presentation, ideas of Professor Ritvin about the necessity of the sustainable information of platinum community and the world development of hydrogen energetics. Just a moment. We will switch on Donetsk. Dear Chairperson, dear participants of the 4th Moscow International Summit, Platinum Global, let me share with the opinion of the Donetsk Scientific School on the subject, ideas of Professor Ritvin about the necessity of the system information platinum community regarding the world development of hydrogen energetics. Evgeny Savich Ritvin, being the man of the great scientific and productive activity until the end of his life, we will remember him. He continued to think about the future of his scientific research. He dedicated all his life on the future of supermetal, which is the child of his mental work and his life activity. Mr. Ritvin got into the essence of hydrogen energetics, into the significance of platinum and platinum metals to implement environmental and energetical dream of the human. Simultaneously, he understood that in future, in long-term future, the demand of the hydrogen energetics of the platinum metals will define the development of the global market of the platinum metals, and this region of the world economy should be in the interest of its child company, Supermetal. Our discussions of all the problems between Berlin, Donetsk on phones have been going for a few months. I will be sincere. The possibilities to organize the big international conference with the participation of many experts, hydrogen experts in many countries. I was an opponent of Evgeny Savich Ritvin, but we had one opinion on the idea that it's necessary to work in system sustainable relations between two global communities, community of experts with the platinum metal, its production, processing, and application. And we will work on the community with the experts of analysts on the world development of hydrogen energies, experts on the development of hydrogen technologies, and in general, due to his persistence and ambitions, we can say that all his ideas have been implemented, and it was strengthened by the efforts of Supermetal due to the efforts of his disciples and the director, Professor Vasily Vasilievich Vasekin. The ideas of Ritven's professor implemented in two international events. First of all, that is international conference, the International Conference Platinum Metals in the Modern Industry of the Hydrogen Energetics of the Future. It was already held in Berlin successfully in 2006 and 10, in Xi'an in 2008, in Guanyin 2012. The next one will take place in April 2014 in Jerusalem, Jaffa. Secondly, it is the Moscow International Summit Platinum Global, which enables to communicate to all communities in the new formats. In this way, participating in the fourth international summit Platinum Global, I would like to underscore that the ideas and thoughts of Professor Ritven are alive, and they will be alive because they reflect the realities of the current day, the relatives of the global platinum metal market, influence on the future of the hydrogen economies. Right now, I will tell you a few words about the state of the world development of the hydrogen economics and our understanding of this process. Recently, on the 11th of November 2013, we were invited to Moscow and participated in the roundtable of Presidium of the National Association of Hydrogen Energetics. And this meeting, we publicly addressed this problem of the world's hydrogen energetics development in the light of the great Russian Kondratiev. So it is called big cycle of economic phenomena. It is so-called long economic waves or waves of Kondratiev. It is important that in compliance with the theory of Kondratiev at the present time, when there is the fifth cycle of industrial civilization, the preliminary stage of hydrogen energetics is underway in many countries, technological leaders, the United States of America, Germany, Canada, Japan, and some other countries. For this reason, the theory of Kondratiev is valid, and there will be this sixth cycle which will be implemented, the hydrogen cycle of the world civilization, of the hydrogen civilization will become true. The leaders will be the countries which are already hydrogen energetics countries of the fifth cycle, the USA, Germany, Canada, Japan, and the countries Argentina, China, South Korea will join them. It's important that platinum metals or fuel cells are the key factor of the sixth technological layer. Right now, it is hydrogen civilization. This formulated topic has been developed by us, by our scientific initiative. This topic deserves the systematic support on the part of the platinum community. In conclusion, I would like to underscore again that the predictions of Ritwin are alive. We must do everything that's in future in our communities of platinum metals and in the community of hydrogen energetics. We unite our efforts. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Viktor Alexeyevich, very much. We don't know if we can hear, so we could hear your presentation with great pleasure. Now we will move to next presentation of this conference. That is the presentation Platinum Metals in Electrochemical Energy. It will be presented by Viktor Nikolaevich Fatsev, the Deputy of the General Director of the Research Center Kurchatovsky Institute. You're welcome. Mr. Chairperson, dear colleagues, I'm very happy to get the opportunity and make a presentation at this summit. So Mr. Goltsov touched upon some political ingredients of the hydrogen and platinum. So as far as concerns electrochemical direction, it's a quite independent area which wasn't addressed either in the Soviet Union and in Russia, because so this kind of the electrochemical energy, there are dozens of the kilowatt, and of course we have global concepts, kilowatts, and that's why in the USSR we didn't have any federal level programs. By its capacity, by the wide scope of the applications, electrochemical energies makes up a great position, and it is addressed by the whole world. But this kind of the disadvantage made in the Soviet Union and in Russia triggered some problems. Right now we buy batteries, primary batteries, secondary batteries, which are produced in Europe, the United States, Japan, and China, but unfortunately in Russia. So why is it a great interest to electrochemical energies? Because the power is much more to compare with the other energies, especially under the small powers. Here we can see, so the fuel cell have more aggregated power, and the condensators, subcondensators, accumulators have so the power. The metal platinum group is not used, but the other alloys are used. But without platinum group metals, we can't live. So what is the efficiency of the transformation of energy? It is linked with this, that there is a direct transformation from the current into the chemical source, and we can get so all these necessary groups. The efficiency of so the fuel cell. We can see that under the low temperatures, the fuel cells can outsmart the efficiency of any traditional devices. The efficiency too little depends on its power, but if we create turbines at the level of 10 watts, is senseless. There are the main types of the fuel cells electrolytes. We pay attention to the solids, oxidation, and polylids. And the first one can work at 100 Celsius, and the second one can work on the 900 degrees. All these solids, polymer, and solid oxide can work. In the principle, so these highly temperatured devices can also abandon the platinum metals, but in some devices we can use them. When we decrease the temperature, we need the chemical stability, and the PGM and the alloys on so this group of metals can meet all the demands. So there are catalysts on these areas. Fluorodoxides can be enhanced as metal of nickel, and the mix of oxides, the platinum, can be mentioned here. And it is necessary to say that they can live without PMG, without platinum. If we speak about the other energy systems, electrolyzers, which are necessary to get the fuel, electrolyzers with the solid oxide electrolyzer and polyethylene, they also require the PMG, and the amount isn't big. But we are concerned with this problem. If we increase the hydrogen energies, we will lack platinum, and the emergence of the new markets will bring us to the catastrophic deficiency of platinum. But if there isn't any kind of the PMG, we won't actually develop the hydrogen energetics, and it will be stampeded. As an example, where do we need PMG? So these are the solid oxide electrolyzer. Electrolyzer layer is based on the PMG, platinum on the carbon carrier, the pure platinum, but the dominance is for platinum. The other ingredients can avoid platinum, but if we come to electrolyzers, in this case, the catalytic layers can be supported by PMG. Rutheni can appear here, but for the difference of bipolar metals and the currents, which are used for active zone, they require the protection by PMG from gold or platinum. There will be 24 grams per kilowatts, and if it isn't a single module, so we will approximate the concept of 1 ton and even more. In Russia, we experience some problems, and we try to handle these problems, having the high examples. And there are some examples of the drone, which was developed by us, and so the cooperation, the electrolyzer batteries under high pressures. There are some institutions, the Cooperation 12, the Ural Research Institute, they produced some devices for the gas production. They have some concerns. How much will platinum group metals would influence on the cost of the devices? It won't influence too much, but reliability will be much better. Why does Gazprom need this kind of installation? But they said pipelines cross taiga without any kind of the energy resources, and they need some kind of the energy. For Gazprom, the easy thing is to get the electric energy from their own gas, and these devices can manage that. And electropolymer systems can be interesting for recyclable energy, and I hope that decentralized energy, which wasn't developed in the Soviet Union. We built the nuclear power stations, hydro stations, but we can say for hydrogen energetics, so there might be a good motivation. Why it can have the chance for the development. We understood that Arctics is the region which should be exploited because of the natural resources. To exploit Arctic, the autonomous, independent, recyclable energy is quite urgent because it's very difficult to transport the traditional fuel, will be efficient, not cost efficient, rather expensive, and also it would harm the environment. There is a traditional scheme, so we have to maintain the energy for the building, the recyclable or alternative energies. This station generates the energy and saves the energy from electrolyzer and to generate hydrogen, and we can use it for the fuel cell as an extra heat. That is autonomous system which doesn't require any kind of the transportation of the fuel or the extra extension of the wires. So we have a lot of research in this way, and we are ready to work with these projects. Quite recently, there was installation with hydrogen accumulation in the program of the Ministry of Science and Research, and we are ready to sort out the realistic problems. There is a scheme of hybrid 3 phases in energy installation where we use the system of batteries and hydrogen accumulated energy and the wind energy. In reality, it can look like that. Unfortunately, we haven't implemented yet. Why do we need the hydrogen accumulation energy for the northern region, Ladoga lakes? So in summer areas, so it's okay, but in winter, so the solar batteries do not work, and the saved energy for the batteries lack the power. So that's why the hybrid installations can solve these problems for northern areas, for the autonomous energy, for the exploitation of the Arctic region. We hope that somewhere so the islands will look more navigated. There is another area of application for the hydrogen energy, that is so the block model of the station. And that is the model, like that is the draft of the the station for 8 gigawatt, and here we need the hydrogen accumulated energy. When there is a tidal wave, it will generate about 8 megawatt. When the water doesn't change, it will be 0. So to get this energy, we have to provide sort of hybrid. To connect it with the general system, it will require the wires about 10 centimeters diameters, the pillars of great sizes, and then the flow of energy into our unified system would not be outset by the cascade of the Volga station. And we need to do something with these technologies, and these PMG are necessary, 24 grams of the amounts which we need. We try to reduce that, but so we produce only demo devices right now. So the synthesis of catalyzers, there are different technologies, but unfortunately they exist in the lab. That is restoration on the gas phase, the restoration in the liquid phase. We generate not bad catalyzers, and it would be interesting that our noble community, which deals with the noble metals, would take interest into this problem, because without platinum, the fuel cell, so deliberately I try to depict the backgrounds of our development. I could not put after 2000 the development of science without platinum. There are real physical chemical reasons. There is a curve of volcano which shows that for the hydrogen, platinum has the maximum activity. Whatever you allow, so you would not achieve this activity. Finalizing the presentation, I asked my assistant, let us play a game. I would like to get a platinum alloy, and I would like to buy a platinum for the fuel cell. And there are some data. The price is quite satisfactory. We managed to buy, it's a realistic price, the platinum catalyzer. We could find it, but not for fuel cell, but the price would be much more. And so in Russia, we could not find any suppliers, direct suppliers. So we can get into connection with some intermediary companies. But in Europe, so you can buy directly. But they say if you buy out about 300 grams, okay, we will get it. But if we need 5 grams, in this case, there will be difficulties. It will be very good to have the interest from our local manufacturers of platinum for fuel cells. When the hydrogen energy would come and the technologies would come, we will get to the situation when we could get the platinum. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? No? We will wait for your questions in the chat. We will move to another report. Vitaly Ivanovich Parunov, Moscow State's Dental University, Digital Dentistry and the Noble Metals. Switch on your mic, please. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make a presentation. As always, as comes to the tradition, we are moving from the global economy and global industry to the practical healthcare. And I think that you will see that what is changing in the modern dentistry when we use the precious metals, and a lot of things have been dramatically changed. Our life has dramatically changed. We can see that the digit technologies entered the healthcare, and it triggers enormous changes, and won't be a secret to anyone that currently everywhere they can make all kinds of the orthopentomogram and computer tomography. So it's very easy because you can download that, you can send it by email, you can show it to your colleagues, you can insert in your presentation, and you can present there whatever you like. The big number of the digital tomographs, CTs, can afford us to use practically every day, not only in planning of the implant, but for the general course of treatment. As you can see on this slide, the digital technologies are involved into designing quite complicated surgical implantations and interventions, facial interventions. You can see that the dentistry acquires quite complicated scenario which can be designed in advance. We can do it so vertically. You can see a surgical templates to put implants. So it is done on the model that the surgeon could calmly put all these implants, which are have been acquiring popularity among customers. So we can be astonished by all these designs of the surgical interventions, their complexity. They enable us to produce the cups from and the special tires for the dentary work, and so we can specify some calculations with the specific applications with very good outcomes. The patient should understand probably the prediction and the prospects. For this purpose, they create the imaging programs which will enable to show the plan of treatment with the necessary predictable outcomes that the patient and the doctor should understand where we are driving at, and it is necessary to understand where are we getting to, and how we're going to go through this path. The big changes have taken place in prostheses of teeth. It concerns the precious metals, PMG, in dentistry, as it used to be, and what can be done right now. That is the standard impression. So that is the WOSC modeling, the plaster modeling, then the next casting by the method of casting, and then the ceramic mass, and then we produce the single crowns and put these crowns. What can happen in the future, and what is going on right now to replace this conventional process? So that is so the scanners, inter-mouth scanners, which enables us to make so-called impressions. So we can identify two big companies, Itera, and the second company is a Sion company, a Siemens Group company, which was transformed into a separate company, Siron. And intraoral scanners of this is of the type SCAD and CAM intra. So they enable to make virtual impressions of very good quality at not quite big distance with 2-3 teeth, and that is the good capacity. So and so they can use here the method, the scanners of the standard type, so-called 3Shape Dutch company of this software, so-called extraoral. So they would scan the plaster model or the impression which was made so in a production way. Then they use so the virtual modeling, and this application CAD can enable to calculate the thickness of the body, so the places of connection, You can assign the required thickness, and you can avoid the handmade craft. You can take away the human factor, and you need to remember this virtual model is in the pool of data. You can keep it, you can save it, and you can use it, you can download, look at it. It's very important every time to avoid all the mistakes under modeling. And if you work with the precious metals here, they can be of different models, and they enable to model not only so the frame, but the anatomical type. At first, you can create the all type of the structure, and then by the method of reduction, you can boil down it to the usual frame. So there is the production of this frame. There are a few methods. Here you can see the methods of the direct production when the standard templates. So they produce these frames, which is prepared for all ceramics. So these devices exist as singular, unique standards, and the companies of the precious metals can afford themselves these devices because they have the full cycle of the precious metals and processing and assembling of the waste aside. And the dental markets, the Vivid example is in Kratra. It is one of these companies, and it can make a risk to produce it because the installation is quite big to collect. So this waste is a very difficult process. There is a disc, a standard plate, which is prepared, which has been done, and then so it can be produced like that with a lot of waste. You can see that. The second method, when the virtual model later on is produced from the templates of the WOSC or from the plastic templates, and these templates are entered into the casing process by the welding process. This system is called cast. This is the workshop for casting, and you can use here some traditional elements of casting. You can use so this kind of the prototype templates. Rarely it comes from WOSC. Very frequently we use it from the plastic on the specific printers. In to less extent, so it deals with the crowns. So you can use it for pickup impressions, and you can multiply for many times if something wrong is with the casing. Or you can use so to replace the plastic models, and you can directly get from the oral scanner the prototype template plastic one for the next technical works for all kinds of the modeling. And there is one more model which is called selective laser melting. So in some sources they call it in different ways, but actually it is laser melting when the alloy is made in the shape of walls, and by the method of the laser melting we would get this kind of the produced frame. It is developed for non-noble alloys, but some companies developed some devices to produce crowns from the noble alloys. It is mostly developed in jewelry industry. And manufacturers of these powder can be organ cooperation companies, it's quite a big company, and Norgan Metal, Italian company. And from the manufacturers of devices for laser melting, this is Compact Laser and Realizer, the German company both. And we also have to mention the production of organ cooperation, that is the method of the crown, digital CopTech. So it is relied on the use of these files, which we get from the method of scanning, and then we produce these types of crowns. In our summary, what can we say about these technologies? The changes have been taking place. They are quite serious. So technologies of crowns production have been changing dramatically. On the one hand, we can avoid so the human factor. We can decrease the costs on the personnel, and we can predict the decrease of the employees of technical profiles, and we will use more and more these complicated digital technologies. And I think that precious metals, in any case, would be kept. There would be the complete replacement by the all ceramic materials, and sooner people will be able to have the noble crowns. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vitaly Anatolyevich. Our participants from here, they don't have any questions. We will wait for the questions. Now we will get to the discussion. All right, we move on our program. Are there any connections with Alla Konstantinovna Fralkova? She must be with us. Hello again. I will give you the floor, Alla Konstantinovna. So that is a presentation about the targets education for the employees in the economic sector. Dear Vasily Vasilyevich, dear colleagues, we are greeting the participants of the summit with the Professor Mekhatzer, Tatiana Maximovna, and I would like to ask a question. Who will get these excellent results in future? Because we can hear about these results from our colleagues. From the 1st September of this year, the new law on the Russian education was valid. And it is necessary to inform our educational community. So the following things. So the Ministry of Education pays a big attention to the relationship between the employers and our educational institutions. We can say that there are some moments that employers, in compliance with this law, can take part in the development of the contents of this law. We are in this state that we can get the demands from employers. We can also recruit the employees from the industrial areas. Master's degrees departments should recruit also the leading experts from the industry. In essence, we need in the chemical technical area to have a community of the institutional schools and practical research and development organizations, because we have to educate the appropriate experts in their areas. Dear colleagues, I would like to claim that this new legislation and the latest tendencies of the recent new generation recorded the new system of educational regulation, bachelor's degree, so the postgraduates and master's degrees. But I would like to tell you, colleagues, unfortunately, the engineer education, as it used to be in the Soviet Union, all of us graduated from the institutes and we got qualification as an engineer. In our precious metal industry, we lack this kind of the qualification because there must be the specific programs which should be approved by the government. I would like to tell you that there is a 4-year of bachelor's degree and master's degrees which are educated for 2 years. In 2015, there will be the mass graduates of bachelors. So the most of these bachelors, they will go to the market of labor, because most of the employers do not quite understand what kind of these experts might be. How can they fit into the work of your organizations? There is only 1 year is left, and I want you to find an opportunity to talk about that at different levels, because it is a real demand. I will give you the structure of the educational programs. I won't comment on that because I talked about that in compliance with the new law. I would like to inform you there's postgraduates. Postgraduates can have different areas. It lasts for 4 years, and we have an educational ingredient which should be filled with all the programs which are necessary for you. And these postgraduates would be the educational places where we could work on a specific topic and efficiently. The master's departments enables us to open for us technological profiles programs. It's a sort of a replacement of engineering training, and this training is based on the bachelor's education, where the student can acquire some theory and practical skills. In new law, they target at the key priority, interrelation with the employer. Look at this slide, please. Not so much has changed a lot to compare with the previous years. Everything which is new, we can borrow from the previous experience. And right now, so they look at the key priority to the relationship with the employers. There will be the basic departments which rely on the industrial facilities. Vasily Vasilyevich, we get into contact with your company, with Kurchatov Center, with a number of the other organizations, and so these programs reflect our exchange of experience. A new understanding of the target education is fixed in their law. That is the obligation which comes from the educational institution, and the student's obligation that the student who is a graduate should work at this facility for certain periods of time. So it is a sort of a past experience from the Soviet Union. This mechanism hasn't been implemented yet. There are many wide gaps right now. It's not so easy to talk about the implementation of this mechanism. We pay a lot of attention to bachelor's training programs, and it seems to me that applied bachelor's programs could be built on the feedback from the employers, because we have to give them the specific skills, competences. We shouldn't be ashamed when we so educate these people, and these people should feed for their employers. It is necessary to make the master's departments of technological profile. So that is very important ingredient, which would enable us to include the necessary contents. We could train the graduate for the specified workplace, and it looks like that the university can't exist as an independent ingredient from the employers. Dear colleagues, I would like to tell you that the evaluation of the educational quality should be monitored. We are a transparent organization, and so the representatives of the different industries are the members of our boards, commissions, and this expertise community enables us to cooperate regarding the upbringing and education of the certain type of employee. So this MEHATE university, which has been training the experts in chemical, platinum metals areas, industry, and we can promote these experts on the market of labor. But we need to make a step to harmonize our interests. There is so much said about the professional standards, and these professional standards should comply with the federal educational standards. We have small experience of creating Sibur holding standards, and we are ready to hold this work in PMG industry. As you can see, this cooperation triggers the generation of the competences and production of the educational programs. There is the main document in compliance with which we give our education. In conclusion, I would like to tell you the forms of cooperation which we rely on. So that is the educational programs, the organization of the facility traineeship, and it is regulated by the educational standards. We could use also the master's degrees, recruiting them from the experts in the facilities, and we implement this approach, that is the cycle of innovation, education, techno parks, innovative incubators. These are the institutes which set up, and we set priorities. We set up the centers to concentrate on the postgraduates and masters educational programs. These scientific centers work for the second and third levels of education, interdisciplinary approach, the logistic information and human resources training. And you know that this year the Minister of Education will make a tender for 1,000 laboratories, and we think that in the frameworks of our research institutes with our business partners will enable us to participate in this tender. And certainly the standard form of cooperation is the upgrading courses of training, MEHATE training courses. In our law, there are also new opportunities. We set up the 16 hours training courses, distant training courses, and in this area we could keep cooperating. There is one more form of cooperation. So our business partnership with Gazenergostroy Kurchatov Institute, and there is multi-beneficial components, and we can implement them with the partners who present here Platinum Global and research and development experience on high technological programs enabled us to upgrade our logistical base. That is a real plus to us. Completing my presentation, I would like to tell you so that my presentation urges your attention to this acute problem in any area. So in chemical industries, we deal with the change of the generation. That is the common place where we can make our efforts and we can advantage of our new law and we can strengthen our friendly relations. Our relations are very good, but we will strengthen them. Thank you very much, Alla Konstantinovna. I'm welcoming Tatiana Masina-Buslaeva, who deals with this part of the industry in education with PMG. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to see you here today. If there are some questions, we will address you these questions. And probably so we will try to work on your position. And we're waiting the first bachelors in 2015. Thank you very much. So along our program there will be so the next presentation. Yekaterina Burg is asking for presentation. Mr. Pushin, so that is the non-ferrous metals, the catalytic systems with the catching gauzes. You're welcome. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. So don't forget to put your slides here. And where are they? Where are my slides? Mr. Gushin is talking about his slides. Grigory Mikhailovich, we can see you, but we can't see your slides. Dear partners, hello. My name is Kirill Olegovich, and today with my colleague, Mr. Gushin, we will present a report on catalytic systems for oxidation of ammiac with active catcher. What would we like to start with? Our enterprise has a rich history in the area of catalyst systems and it launched products on the market, and so it manages to increase so the efficiency of the products and to reduce so the PMG costs. And our latest innovation, the active catching gauzes, enable us to decrease the costs on PMG and the costs of the nitrogen facilities who are our customers. In 2013, we launched so the production of these systems, and our partners started using catching gauzes, or they can feel so all kinds of the advantage. We will remove all the technical problems, and my colleague will continue the presentation. I would like to fill in this pause. I would like to say thank you on the behalf of the non-ferrous metals facility in Sverdlovsk region, Yekaterinburg. And thank you very much for your support, for your understanding. And I think that in the nearest future, we will overcome so our technical difficulties. Vasily Vasilyevich, can you see our slides, our presentation? We can see only you.
push so the tag, this slide, you will see the folder in the mid, and then you will select the necessary folder. So you represent it. So at the side margin, you will see it. That is the seventh from the top, the show of slides, push it. Then there will be the show folders. When you select this file, all the slides will be downloaded with a triangle. Start slides for all remote speakers. We provided this technical service. If there are some questions, we will always help you. Haven't we lost a connection with them? Dear colleagues, what is your problem like? Say it in a mic. I think that we will continue. We will make a presentation to the other presenters and we will sort out our problems. Okay, keep the connection with our technical moderators if you need some consultants. Thank you. So you will be listeners right now. We will move by our program and we will go back to our Blitz conference. I will give the floor to Mr. Shenkarenko, so the main editor of the Precious Metals journal. So 20 years of working, platina isn't a luxury. So the journal has been working for 20 years. Thank you. Dear colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to make my presentation. So the International Academy of Informatization is the public organization under the United Nations. And so we will move to the next slide. For 20 years, it has been with the academic journal and the websites, this International Academy. So is sort of a public informative source for the platinum markets in global scope and for the Russian market. Platinum isn't luxury, but that is a tool to survive. So this title for my presentation came as a slogan, and this slogan was appearing during one of our events. And the value of platinum with diamonds would not cause any kind of doubts. So of course, it's quite valuable jewelry, but platinum isn't compatible with the value of the life. And we would like to focus on these parts. Platinum is ecologically safe, environmentally friendly. So it is an opponent to the other sources of production which trigger the environmental disasters. I would like to support Mr. Goltsov, the professor who paid attention to the movement of the humankind, to the movement of the humankind to the hydrogen civilization, that the humankind will get to the hydrogen civilization. The academy, the website of this International Academy of Informatization has been making its efforts actively since 2005. I would like to underscore the key role of platinum metals in hydrogen energetics. So this key role has been identified for the first time by Ritwin. It was in 1994, so that is the reference to the articles and Galtsova articles and their projects, and the president of this association also. The modern super metal company is the successor of these ideas put forward by Evgeny Isayevich Ritwin. So these ideas were expressed by Mr. Ritwin. It's a little bit far, so the slides do not go in the proper sequence. Let's go back to this moment. In 1997, Professor Ritwin he made a presentation at the Congress of the Mass Media in the United Nations. I would like to remind you of his presentation. I will quote him. Probably I would say it loudly, but I would like to address the governments of all nations, the government of Russia and the United Nations. So we will consider the problems of humanity, children, should be the main problems, global problems facing the humankind, because if after the solution of these kind of the issues we won't have normal children who would continue the new civilization development. Of those who remembers Evgeny Sanovich, his emotions in this common lines, he conveys all his energy. In 1997, I want to remind you of this fact that the gold funds of super metal supported the 5 Orthodox churches. All of them are enumerated here. Russian sacred things. Plus 100 million rubles were sent for children as charity. So this kind of the support of the new generation, the super metal company has been continuing. That is the International Hydrogen Club Mirel, that is energy of the future for the 2005 until 2008, the hydrogen of the future. All these conferences are the environmental conferences. They link to platinum and hydrogen energy. Super metals. The General Director Vasily Vasilyevich Vasekin, who is the member of our academy, they participated in the development of the new strategies of Russia textbook, the development of new generation, the energy of future for the school children. And these nanotechnology prospects are covered, and the scientific members of Supermetal participated in edition of this new textbook. It wasn't only the publication of the textbook, but it was a realistic participation in the conferences. Supermetal continues work. That is Moscow Institute of Electronic Technologies. So that is a research national university in Moscow. In the frameworks of their support, the Supermetal awarded 7 nominations, the gold medals and the silver medals. The fund of Professor Ritvan awards also the winners in this competition of the research. And we still continue the Moscow projects of the green economy. These are the sources of the international projects, and under the support of this Vector Rus, the Supermetal has been promoting quite interesting project, and I'm involved into this project. That is nothing. Here it is. Where is it? Here. The recent presentation took place in the village Andreevka in Solnechnogorsk, Moscow region, in kindergarten and in school. The essence of this project is the game, interactive games, because without any wires, you can save the resources, energy resources. The environmental upbringing starting with 3 years of old is critical. Children, you can hear in these pictures, we made a lot of photos here. So children took enormous interest into these games and textbooks, manuals, and we told them that you can bring it to your parents and you will see these materials together. You can find all these handouts on RDK website. What is the reason for that? The reason is that free of charge in the internet, you can see the internet involves children to game industry with their suicide effects. So that is so-called cluster. So the phobia, so that is a medical term, so that this kind of the phenomena exists. Clitorizonia, yeah, so I can say that people can actually experience this kind of the phobia. So you imagine if children continue this kind of the games, and if they find themselves with the button with the nuclear energy, so what might happen in future? So the Supermetal, so the leaders of this company, as all the parents, are concerned with these phobias, with these games, the internet influence, and as I know, so this kind of education is supported by Supermetal, and the Academy of Informatization will be supported by all participants of the summit. Here is another picture from Andreevka village. This girl, you can see in the kindergarten, she tries to move to these pictures which she took interest into. I must tell you that all answers should be found in Kornei Tchaikovsky's book, who wrote his poems, verses in Soviet Union, when the Russian National Plan of Energy was launched in the Soviet Union. 5 years, children got oriented with lamps, bulbs, and any other things. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. for this interesting approach in the context of the young generation education. It's quite vivid, emotional presentation. We will hope so that our modest attempts will contribute to the education of our children and youth and all children who are concerned with these problems of the future of our children and grandchildren. Thank you. Right now we will move to the same presentation from Yekaterinburg facility with the catching gooses. I will try to voice the title of the presentation. Can you hear us? Everything can work, can operate, so we can hear you. For the 20 years on the Zoom facility, we have been doing our work for the nitrogen facilities. In 1995, we implemented electrochemical work on the catalyzer gases. In 1999, we started the production of the needed catalyzer gases. In 2000, we started to supply the gases and the alloys. In 2012, we organized the production of the catalytic system with the active catching gases. At this slide, we showed you the chemical composition of the alloys which Yekaterinburg plant uses for the processing of the non-ferrous metals. For Russian enterprises, we produce the gases of 4 alloys. The first, the second in our table. For the nitrogen acid, we can use these 2 alloys. The third alloy is used for the hydrazine, amyl phosphate, and the fourth alloy, palladium 8 wolfram, to catch platinum, which evaporates from the catalyzers gases. On the request of foreign customers, we produce the alloys from the 4th to the 7th numbers. Here we show the technological cycle of the gauze production. The topic of our presentation, the catalytic systems for the oxidation of ammiak with the active catcher. The technological advantages for electrical chemical activation of the gases is the purification of the gaseous surfaces from the alloys, which are put on the process of production. And due to the due to our technologies, we increase the burning of the catalyzers gases, and we can accelerate the maximum conversion. And this kind of the process excludes the extra processing of this gauze before implanting it into the installer. The activation is the electrolytic deposition of platinum. In 2012, we introduced the process of electrochemical Wolfram 5 with the case of catalyzing gases on the surface of palladium gases, the thickness of half of a micron, and by the active peculiarities, they do not miss all these properties, and we replace them with the palladium gauzes. That is the oxidation of ammonia and lime. So the gauzes, the palladium sectors, so they are very smart. At this slide, we show the catalytic systems for the high-pressure Yuka L7. On the left, the catalytic system consists of 5 catches with palladium, and it is put on the specific header. There are 6 palladium catching gauzes. 4 of them are activized. In this way, with the system of the active catcher, we also installed 1 palladium gauze and 4 catching gauzes. We put palladium layer, about 40-50 grams of palladium in the maintenance. So the maintenance work about 4,000 hours. So the advantages of this system with the active catcher are so the decrease of the cost of the precious metals, rhodium, iridium. We can economize about 20%. Due to the catalyzed and catching gauzes, we reduced the aggregated loss of the precious metals, and the loss of rhodium we decreased by 2 times. Next slide shows the differences of the active catcher. On the traditional system, which you can see on the left, ammonia reacts with oxygen, and the palladium catching gauzes gets so all these alloys from the gauzes. 50-70% of platinum deposits on the palladium gauzes and increases their activity. The system, which is on the right, can't manage to respond to the ammonia because of the reduced number, and can be oxidized on the palladium gauzes. If in the traditional system there are 9 gauzes, with the active system there will be 7 plus 4 active catchers. Altogether there will be 11 gauzes, and it will manage the overloads. So there is a diffusion of platinum in the palladium wire, but because of the catching process, there is vaporing from the palladium catalyzer. All these gauzes are saturated with platinum. When the oxide of rhodium is accumulated, this role is delegated to the catching gauze. And due to the use of this active palladium gauzes and massive concentration of platinum, about 0.85% in these systems, we reduce the number of catalyzed cells. On this slide, we show so the active catchers after 1,000 hours and the number of the platinum caught by each gauzer. So the first gauzer caught about about 40% of platinum in the final gauge, so it makes up 35%. We can see that our catching gauzes are too far from the most efficient palladium gauzes, but they can provide the effective catching process. The seventh gauze is not quite useful because of the maximum platinum it can catch. So in the table you can see the amount of palladium which we can put with different aggregates. For the installations with small diameter, about 40-50 grams, with a diagram of 4 meters, 150-180 grams of platinum. On the next slide, we show a mass catalytic system for the installation RK72. The serial system consists of 5 gauges and 3 catching gauzes. The system with the active catcher, there are 4 platinum gauzes and catchers. 3 of them are active with the platinum, and they are shown with the yellow color here. In this way, so we can install an extra palladium gauze, and the total amount of platinum is 150-80 grams. The conversion makes up about 95.5-96%. Next slide shows the advantages with the active catcher for aggregate AK72. That is the decrease of the costs on PMG, platinum and rhodium. The cost will make up about 70% due to the decrease of the number of the catalyst gauges, and we can reduce the loss of platinum and rhodium by 20-25%. We increase about 6,000 hours of operations of the system due to the effective catching system and on the account of the saturation of this catching system with platinum. The next slide shows the catalyst system for the installations to get agrosite amine sulfate. It consists of 2 platinum catalysts and 1 catching gauze. The catalyst system with the active catcher has 2 platinum gauzes and 2 palladium gauzes. One of them has an active layer of platinum, 30-40 grams of platinum. The degree of conversion makes up about 93-96%. Due to the extra palladium gauze, we increase about 30-35% of the catalyst system operations, and we reduce the loss of platinum and rhodium by 20%. At this moment, Yekaterinburgsky plant has been innovating technologies. In 2014, we are planning to propose our dear customers new developments. Thank you for your attention. We are inviting you for the cooperation. Thank you very much for your presentation, Konstantin Olegovich. So these gauzes, are they in operation somewhere? Yes, we have implemented them, Megabush and Mendeleevsk. It's quite interesting information, and I think that we will get feedback on your presentation. If there are some questions, we will check so the questions in the chat. I'm quite sorry. So those who joined us later, because unfortunately, so we exceed the time of our agenda. We are beyond 2 hours, but we have the time. Maria Viktorovna Malzov will get the presentation from Donetsk about the technical base of the hydrogen energy. So there will be brief presentation, and she is asking the floor. So, dear participants of the forum platinum metals and their distinguishing features and their hydrogen base. So right now, so the over 50% of energy have been made on the accounts of so the energy, the hydrogen energy, which has been spreading and developing widely. It will be able to provide the clean energy and environment. And so we can provide also the capacity of new energy. As you know, so the hydrogen energetics development has the priority to provide the materials, actually materials that is so-called, that is the pillar of the technical civilization. And the embodiment of any projects can't be possible without the implementation of the energy. So the hydrogen energy requires the materials which are resistant to degradation, and they should be the multifunctional materials, the key materials on the base on platinum or PMG materials. We need to say that PMG is the basics for the fuel cell. And without them, we won't deal with electrolyzers, the catalytic burners of carbon. So what looks attractive? So the limitation of the resources and the price. By the experts' estimations, the price might achieve about 130 by 2030. After 2015, the consumption of platinum will exceed its production. The deficit of platinum can make up a problem for the hydrogen energetics, and this issue has been raised many times during the international events which was organized by many companies. What are the solutions to this problem? So the first solution is the increase of the platinum capacities. So the PMG resources make up about 70,000 tons all over the world. About 15% of the platinum and palladium resources in Russia. So we can increase the production of platinum and palladium with the efforts of our scientists. Yekaterinburg, Voronezh State University point out to Voronezh Yeniseiski area, Urals, the Siberian and Far East regions, and they underscore for the development of all these deposits. There are historic prerequisites. They created the specific map where they identified so the concentrations of these natural resources. It looks impressive. It could attract the extra investments and the new jobs. In practice, it would be promising, but it is evident that this route has its own difficulties. There are also technological places. One of them, Norilsk platinum metal deposits, but for its development, we need to create technologies which will enable us to achieve the results. Currently, it isn't possible for objective reasons. So the form of the platinum relocation and for some other reasons. The second route is the application of nanotechnologies, nanostructures in hydrogen energetics. It is shown that the application of these materials on the energy installations will enable us to decrease the precious materials, and we will be able to reduce the cost of the precious materials by 30–50%. The works of nanostructural materials have been run in Moscow in Kurchatov Research Institute. And finally, there is the third route, that is the creation of new materials. This summer, media circulated the news that American and South Korean scientists created cheap catalyzer which doesn't contain platinum. It works with monographeme particles with coverage of ions, and it shows better characteristics with platinum contents. It can increase so the capacity of the fuel cells based on the platinum and demonstrates 62% to compare with this new installation. We would like to underscore that the laboratory researchers and laboratory installations have enormous way to be implemented to the mass production. This route is not so easy. And so this information about platinum-free catalyzer as the first innovative step, at least for the first years, we can say that the amount of platinum could decrease on the account of these alternative technologies. In the nearest years, the platinum metals will be the basic materials for the hydrogen energy. Thank you for your attention. Maria Victorovna, thank you very much. So the participants of the Platinum Global, it has been a repetition of the records. Only one presentation is left out, that is Novosibirsk presentation. Mr. Volopuyeva will make this presentation. The director of the CVD in Novosibirsk, Smart CVD, with the partner Institute of Organic Chemistry named after Nikolaev. Good afternoon, dear participants of the summit. I am the General Director of Smart CVD, which is organized with the Institute of Inorganic Chemistry. Our company has been done so. So our company was founded for the development and commercialization of technologies of metal deposition of the platinum group by the method of chemical deposition from the gas phases. So the team of authors has 30 years in the area of chemistry. The uniqueness of our company is that there are two key competences in the work of MOCVD processes. That is the part of synthesis and physical chemical research of the volatile connections of different metals with the organic prosecutors. So right now we purchased and equipped our laboratory with the modern equipment. The capacity of the equipment enables us to synthesize from hundreds of grams up to kilograms of the original alloys of the noble metals for months. We can suggest so the competitive advantages in PMG. As far as concerns the technologies of new covers, currently MOCVD is universal and energetically economic method for nuclear molecular coverage under the controlled deposition in the purposes of the film materials with the required properties. To streamline the process of MOCVD ranges, and we can get so big number of technological parameters: temperature of the evaporator, the general pressure in the systems, partial pressure of the components. So the MOCVD is one of the dynamically developed methods. We can cover so the target composition with the different morphological surface. We can adjust the thickness of the covers. We can change the speed of deposition. We can also get equal harmonious layers on their products. We can also deposit covers on the materials of different nature. So we can get new film materials. We can also use less hydrogen. And so right now the company has been implementing 2 projects to purify the hydrogen, and the second is Iridia to cover for coverage. As far as concerns the first hydrogen purification, so we have a purpose of this project: innovation, research, test and production technologies of hydropamide technologies on their palladium composites, possessing the necessary set of maintenance characteristics. So and we use pulsed metal organic chemical addition to cover for coverages from the volatile alloys of palladium and metal dopants with organic prosecutors, which is the key innovation of the project. To get the gas density coverage on the surface of the porous steel pipes could be used for the interfaces on the basis
of the technology, and then we would formulate the palladium containing layers doped with the coder ruthenium. All the processes will be implemented in one technological cycle. The process of deposition is involved here. This these moments of the project developed laboratory methods of the synthesis of the prosecutors and metal dopants with the high outcomes, the processes of deposition of all the platinum group metals. In the laboratory prototype MOSCVD installator, we got new patterns of PD, CU containing, and we established the influence of the deposition and the influence on the composition, structure, and morphology of the deposited layers. In this project, we developed technologies with the method of PMOCVD with the high permittibility by hydrogen, 120 meters, and selectivity, high mechanical parameters, temperature of stability. And so this method enables us to comply with the methods of the industry. The structure of palladium lay is defined by selectivity by hydrogen, which can be quite big. However, the the big size of the grains, the availability of defects, breaks, holes, which are typical for these methods, can sharply decrease the parameters values. In this option, the growth of the coverage takes place in cycles under the constant deposition of several hundreds of layers, one of which has the details of several dozens of nanometers. Then the permeability of membrane on hydrogen, its selectivity can be defined by the structure of the working layer. The third, the mechanical properties of membrane depends on the chosen way of deposition, on the size of grains, the purity of the deposited material, the problems related to hydrogen, so the thermal mechanical resistance of membrane can be sorted out by the nano size layers of palladium particles and doping palladium film by other metals. The availability in this structure of the reactor of several independent sources of the vapors and impulses character of the process. Fourthly, the high temperature stability, sustainability to thermocycling, and high productivity of membrane within the whole period of operations can be determined by the structure of interface oxide layer, and it can fulfill the role of diffusion between the porous carrier, and the regime of these layers have been developed by our company. So on the surface of the oxide layer, we formulate palladium containing layers, the availability of similar interface and nano-size structures of this palladium layer. We will support the aggregation of the necessary operational parameters. The fifth idea, the problem of the hydrogen fragility and sustainability of palladium membranes
to poisoning by the different gases can be sorted out by doping of the films, and we are interested into cooperation with the research and development centers which deal with the hydrogen problems. So this method, MOCVD, helps us to do that. The second project targets at the solution of the medical biological task, the deposition of biologically compatible iridium cover with the targeted characteristics. As the result of research and development implementation, we received the patents of electrodes of cardiostimulators with the composite cover, with low impedance, with high biological compatibility, with low limitation of stimulation, low costs, and the quality of this product will be at the level of the global devices. Summarizing all that, I would like to say Smart CVD is open to proposals, and we are ready to participate in any partnerships and cooperation. Thank you for your attention. I am the Vladimir Vonopoyev. So that is the record of the presentation. Thank you very much for this presentation. If there are some questions, we will address these questions. Unfortunately, we are too far from the agenda time. I won't introduce the presentation of the steering committee of the 6th International Conference. The work is underway. They sent the 2nd international letter and all these materials on the 6th International Conference, platinum metals in modern industry and hydrogen energetic, and in area of life sustainability of future. They can be available on the websites, and you can easily familiarize with all these data and information references. I won't take up your time. I would like to tell you that the program of our summit has been exhausted. I understand that there were some bits from China. Unfortunately, we are lagging behind our program for 1 year. So all these presentations which you prepared, we will issue in press release. And there will be a valuable material. I would like to say thank you to everyone, to those who listened to us, who participated in our Summit Platinum Global. As a moderator, I would like to tell you, so the main principle which we pursued is that all participants of our conference should concentrate all their ideas, and there might have been sort of small proposals because there had been very big presentations. I hope that even in this big format, so we had communication for 3 hours, and probably so our communication was very useful and positive to everyone. Let us check the questions on the chat. There were current probably questions. If we find some messages, how many of them were there? We will check the statistics of address. China is still with us. There aren't any questions. There was a sort of discussion on the chat, but there aren't any questions here. Zagilev, so we are still here. So if you have something to say, I can't find any questions addressed to the speakers. the presentation. So there was a sort of correspondence. If you didn't manage to check it, we can send this kind of the discussion to you. Thank you very much to your cooperation, to the preparation of the summit. I wish you the best. So, and I wish the best wishes in our coming new year. Goodbye. See you next time. Текст у меня был на русском языке.